And I remember saying, Father, if it be thy will, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And then I cried some more. I told God, I said, God, I know that you know me, and I know me well enough to know that if there was an easier way, I'd pick it. But I trust you. You are my shepherd. I will walk down whatever path you choose, Father. You lead me. The next morning, a friend of mine called, and I said, the strangest thing happened to me last night. But I knew that he prepared me. 6 months later, I found myself in a season of prayer for my children. I was crying out to God and saying, Father, I want them to know you the way I know you. I don't want them to have a dime store God and a dime store relationship with him. I want them to know you in your fullness and the power of your resurrection. So I got my resurrection.
Not realizing what you were praying.
No!
Right. Well, because if we know what's ahead, we're going to opt out, right?
That's right.
God, I can't walk through that, so I don't want to.
And do you remember the weekend in Jacksonville? You were ministering that weekend in Jacksonville at the Westside Church. Friday night, you called and said, you know, if you have any need, come forward. And I remember standing off to one side and thinking, oh, Father, this is very strange. I just can't imagine needing anything. And I felt for such a long time that there were so many things I needed, but it's like you've swallowed me up, Lord, and this is just, I'm so grateful that you've done this and that I don't need anything but you. The next day, while we were up praying for people, I kept saying this over and over and over. I laid down on the altar, and the Spirit would not leave me alone about it, and nobody said a word to me. It was a very precious time of communion. I literally laid my body down on the altar, folded my hands like this, and simply laid there communing with the Lord. Got up and again thought, that was the strangest thing. But I had to be obedient, and what God was doing was he was preparing me to literally lay my body on the altar and say, okay, we preach that all the time. I beseech you therefore, brethren, that you present your body a living sacrifice. But there are so many who say, you know, if you're sick, that's a bad thing. But how do you be healed if you're not sick?
My goodness. This is great. I just know the people are being touched.
I hope so.
Even as you speak. So, okay, let's go back then to the Monday, and they said you had to have surgery, and your family just, you know, you would not allow any kind of negative agreement.
Nothing.
Did you go for the surgery? Did you opt for that?
I prayed about it first, and I told my husband, I said, you know, I have to pray about this. And then I had the surgery, and then they said, well, you've got to have chemo. And I said, okay, I have to pray about that. So the night before chemo, I said, okay, Lord, you tell me what to do. If I have to do this, I will, but I'm trusting you. You have to tell me what to do. So the next day we started chemo, and I had chemo every 3 weeks.
My goodness, what was that like?
It was horrible. I lost all of my hair. I didn't mind being bald so bad, but it was the eyelashes and the eyebrows. Your face becomes very nondescript. Monday was chemo day. Tuesday, very weak, can't do much, lay around. Wednesday, I threw up for 12 hours, no matter what time I started. 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd start. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd be through. If I didn't start till noon, it was midnight. 12 hours of throwing up. The next day was just being weak from the vomiting, and then on Friday and Saturday it was trying to get my my digestive system to work again, because it was like the chemo fried and baked everything that was inside of me.
My goodness. Wow. Well, okay, hold that thought. Come back and join us on Fresh Hope right after this break. We have lots more to share with you.
July the 4th is Celebrate Freedom Day. Just as the nation celebrates our freedom, we at Fresh Hope will also be celebrating by declaring July the 4th as Spiritual Freedom Day. If you have unsaved friends or family, would you send us their names either by mail or by email? 972 North Christie Way, Inverness, Florida, 34453, or email www.freshhope.org. That's freshhope with one H.org. Our prayer partners and our staff, we're going to be fasting and praying for the names that you send us of your unsaved loved ones. We're going to be fasting and praying for 24 hours. We are excited as we believe God for your loved ones to be set free from the bondage of sin. I would like to give a very special thank you to all the prayer partners of Fresh Hope for making all the wonderful deliverances and the life-changing events come to pass because of your special time that you spend before the Lord. And also a big thank you to all the hope givers. Those are our partners and our sponsors for making this program possible. Without you giving, lives would not be changed. So thank you so much for believing in this vision and giving.
Today's episode and previous programs are available for $10 each. Please visit freshhope.org. That's FreshHope with one H, and use your credit or debit card. Or mail your check or money order to Fresh Hope Ministries, Pastor Donna Salee, 972 North Christie Way, Inverness, Florida, 34453. And please mention the program's guest and topic.
This is Fresh Hope.
Welcome back to Fresh Hope. We're talking today about God's healing power and His grace to walk through things that come your way. And we're talking to Sophia Smith, and I believe you're going to be blessed. So just reach out and grab everything God's got for you today. Sophia, just in recap, you'd been through ovarian cancer, had surgery, and you were just describing the things that you're going through with the chemo. Mm-hmm. So you go through this whole week. Was this 1 week out of the month that you had to deal with all these symptoms?
That was the week right after chemo, and then the second week was actually, they say, when your immune system is at its weakest. The third week you begin to feel human again, only to know that on Monday it starts over. And I did that. My first treatment was December 12th, and my last treatment was April 18th.
Oh my goodness, so you had to go through that a while.
7 treatments.
Mm-hmm. As far as God and your relationship going through this chemo, did you feel Him near you?
Every moment. I would wake up some mornings and my body would feel so weak. And I remember vividly laying on the bed, and I would try to get up, and my body wouldn't listen to me. And I can remember laying there and declaring to the visible and the invisible world. There was no flesh and blood bodies there to hear me, but I was declaring it anyway. I'd lay there and I'd say, I am strong in the power of His might. And I'd try to get up again, and then I'd say, I am strong in the power of His might. And I just get louder and louder. And eventually, my body reacted.
Isn't that amazing? That's God's word, the power of your words.
Right.
There is life and death in the power of your words.
That's right, and I refused to give in. I said, no, God will not be glorified in my body unless I submit myself to His word.
My goodness. As far as the doctor, how did your doctor react to all of these things and the way that you were reacting to
Well,
it?
she told me that I was a trooper because the day of my chemo, in fact, I had surgery on December 7th, and on the 12th she came in and I was folding blankets.